Armor.
Howdy.
What's going on, Craig?
Yep, back there we've got Craig in the booth. What's up, Craig? I wanted to start. Well, first, I guess I have two topics, one of which I know nothing about and one of which I know something about. Which one would you guys like to cover?
Oh, the nothing, obviously.
The
It's gonna be
nothing.
great.
What about you, D?
You
wanna go with the nothing?
Yeah. Let's go that. Yeah.
The nothing is actually I'm going to ask because I know someone here does know something about it. Was there anything interesting announced at the State of Play? Wasn't that last week?
That was last week.
I didn't hear anything from it. I heard it was a thing. I didn't hear anything from it. So
The biggest thing was that the Returnal Studio is doing another game called Seros, which looks really cool from like the little bit that they showed, but that was pretty much it. Otherwise, like they had a trailer for Borderlands 4. I think there was Days Gone remaster was announced.
they had a trailer for
Gone?
Borderlands
Wait,
4,
wait.
a game that Borderlands, a franchise that hasn't been relevant for like 10 years. Wow.
And Days Gone,
Exciting.
like we're already at a remaster of Days Gone.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Sonic Racing has a new game coming called
That'd be-
Crossworlds.
That'd be kind of cool. I like Sonic games. I don't mind.
Sonic Racing? Is it like a
Yeah,
game where
Sonic
is
Racing.
it? What is that? Is that a game
You
where
never
you
played
drive
the
in
360
cars?
version? Yeah, no, it's like Mario Kart except with Sonic characters.
It's like Mario Kart or like Crash Team Racing, man.
Yeah, or Diddy Kong Racing. You played that back in the day.
When are they
Ooh.
gonna bring in Star Wars Racing? And it's like Anakin
That's a good question.
Skywalker in a car.
I'm really hoping that actually that the Disney Speedstorm actually adds like Star Wars characters. That's my hope. So far, Speedstorm seems to be going pretty well. So hopefully we'll see that because that'd be really cool.
So what are the announcements here? Another Borderlands game that nobody asked for.
Well, supposedly this one is more open world, but I don't necessarily know because I guess like there was some mission structure in the previous ones, right? And that was
Mhm.
probably a technical limitation more than anything else. But otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just Borderlands, and it's like, well, okay, great. Like, I mean, I don't know. I have fun playing Borderlands with friends, but that's about it. Like, it's never really like gotten me. I know some people who love it, but like, yeah, it's just never
Yeah,
been.
we played it
my
from
vibe.
time to time, and we spent
Yeah.
some hours in it, but we've never like gone from point A to point B, completing everything. You know, it's not like we
Right.
100%.
I
by any
don't
means.
think I've ever played. I don't think I've put in more than 2 hours in a Borderlands game, to be honest with you. And so my comments about it, I'm kind of poking fun at it, but I'm also kind of being serious. Like, is there a big Borderlands community? Because to me, Borderlands is one of those franchises that like it was a big deal. I mean, really, like I said, 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, even like 2010, right?
No, there's still people holding on. You know, honestly, there's a fairly big community about people.
I
who
feel like
Borderlands
Borderlands
games.
is like it's like a cult franchise where the cult is like 49% of the population of gamers. I mean, maybe not that big, but that's a cult joke. I feel like the people who love Borderlands are very loud and very like active, very engaged with it.
Wasn't there a Borderlands
and
movie?
didn't go see the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a bomb.
I'm pretty sure also that Randy yelled at the audience for it and blamed the audience for it doing badly too. Randy Pitchford, the problematic spokesperson for Borderlands, Gearbox,
Oh.
all that jazz.
Here we go. Kevin Hart, Jack Black. Wow, it didn't do well. Jamie Lee Curtis. That's actually Kate Blanchett. That's actually kind of surprising to me that it didn't do well. It's a pretty stacked
Apparently
cast.
It wasn't a very good movie. Like, apparently.
Well, it just goes to show you can have a stacked cast, and if you don't have a good script or whatever, I don't know. This is I haven't actually watched it firsthand, but this is what I've gathered. You know, and you can have some stellar actors, but you know, you don't have the right direction, they can still be bad.
You know, I don't even know that I want to blame the script. I just think that Borderlands is a hard franchise to sell too.
Yeah,
Just
it could be.
period.
Could be.
Like it, you know, am I wrong here? Wasn't like post-apocalyptic was pretty popular at one point. I feel like it's not currently the trend.
I would agree. Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree. I think we see that with like movies like that are legitimately actually good movies, like Furiosa, not doing well too. You know, like I mean,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's definitely like I think more sci-fi these days. I mean, at least for me, I'm definitely more into sci-fi than post-apocalyptic world. My now I was kind of wondering, like, well, I think
Look.
for the people who hit, who played Borderlands, if you liked it, again, we missed the wagon. I think all of us there, but there's some people who hit it and really liked it, and jived with them. Ooh, man, I pulled that
It
out.
also
Where'd
it
that come
also
from?
could be the fact that, like, when you live in a dystopic world, you don't want to see what's coming next. Okay,
I was gonna make a comment like that, and I just knew. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it hits a little too close to home nowadays. Man, talking about that,
But Fallout's okay. Interesting.
I was looking at this thing of the dystopian world of Interstellar, where, like, oh yeah, we don't need engineers, we need farmers, and like they run out of food.
Oh sure, yeah.
Oh man, what year did that come out? Did that come out like 2014?
Right?
It could easily be a big problem.
Yeah,
right.
You start,
yeah.
Start becoming too big, and you forget about the what you really need, right? Some of the
2014. Yeah, and like technology and stuff. It's not like it's like cheaper and all of that, but like food and that kind of stuff is Ugh. Man. Yeah, it's
speaking of other like sci-fi properties, though, one other thing that was announced at the PlayStation Showcase was the guys who did Until Dawn, Supermassive, and all those Dark Pictures anthology games. Mm-hmm. They're doing another entry in the Dark Picture anthology series called Directive 8020. That's like a sci-fi horror game. That's multiplayer.
Well,
so it'll be like it.
Didn't Dark Pictures kind of like
Until Dawn, but like,
I thought they had like a film they were working on or something like that.
I think they said they were working with somebody on something.
Yeah,
like maybe Blumhouse. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. No, Interesting.
But and Until Dawn, that sci-fi is something that I probably would actually play if anyone was willing to play it with me.
What was Until Dawn? I don't see. We talked about yesterday off the podcast gamer fatigue and how too many big games are coming out and there's too much expectations on the games and such. That's how I feel. I don't even know what Until Dawn is. Is that? Sounds familiar. I think I've seen people stream.
It's an older game.
That was the Hayden Panettiere game.
Where like where they're like running. Yeah, I see it here.
Yeah, and then you have to like make choices or whatever, and like decide who lives or dies because of those choices.
Wow, a video game where you make choices and people live or die.
Well, yeah, like it's almost kind of sort of like Telltale. I mean, except like realistic, like more. I don't know.
Right.
Realistic graphics.
Not to be all doom and gloom, but what happened to Telltale? How did that go for them making those games?
I mean, they're back now, allegedly.
Are they?
We'll see.
Yeah. Apparently, at least
I'm still waiting for the Wolf Among Us 2.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for that
there.
one.
Yeah. That's still out there, man.
What about Game of Thrones 2? I actually liked their Game of Thrones game. What about that?
We've only heard the one title at this point. That they're. Yeah. We know for sure it's Wolf Among Us 2.
Wolf Among Us 2. Yeah. I mean, like they overextended with all the licensing. Like they were doing so many licensed games that probably killed their finances. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they like come back in like a healthy way and like don't overextend, and because I think that there's absolutely a place they filled in the like gaming like ecosystem that was like
everybody
not
loved those
really
games at some point.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many people I could talk to and say, what do you think about Telltale? And they I'm sure every single one of them would have at least one experience of a certain game that they like. Oh yeah, this one.
Well,
I think it was just like it was almost kind of a trend thing at one point. You had to play one.
So mine was playing Wolf Among Us. A little bit of spoiler, but also it's like the splash screen that comes up when you start the game. I missed the splash screen that explains the premise of it. So I went into it not knowing anything. And I'm like, oh, cool. You're like a wolf detective. Interesting. Okay.
He was like a wolf detective.
Like, interesting. Okay.
And then
like you start meeting all these other characters and they're all fairy tale names. And I'm like, wait, what? Huh?
You're
Oh
trying
my
to.
God.
I could see you slowly unraveling the pieces.
Yeah.
They
Like
call,
this is
they
this is.
call
Wait a
Beauty
minute!
from Beauty
All of a
and the
sudden,
Beast. Like David's like Beauty is with Beast. Wait,
Yeah,
like the wheels are turning.
that's when it clicked. That's
Yeah, all of a
actually when it
sudden.
clicked. Was like when they come back into the apartment complex when you first meet them and everything, and it's like, oh hey, Beauty, Beast. Wait a second.
yeah, all of a sudden, that one moment that changed everything.
Like the mayor's assistant being named the deputy mayor, being named Snow was like kind of interesting, but
Right.
like I didn't put it together until Beauty and Beast. Yeah.
Well, that's a kind of cool thing about the game. It's like,
But that was
even
a
when
really
you know
cool way
it,
to
you know?
experience it, though. Too was like not knowing the premise and everything, and like
Mhm.
have that like kind of hit as like a kind of like twist surprise thing. It's like, oh, this is really neat. Like, you know?
Well, and they do it in such a way that it feels like kind of like it's very kind of unique way they're doing, but it's enough to where it's like so interesting. They're true to their character, but they're in this different way that you've never seen them before. So it's very interesting. It just changes the whole format, but it's also like, wait, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna be the same people that from the stories, or are they gonna completely change? Who you expect they're who you expect them to be, which is kind of fun too.
I still need to play the Expanse Telltale game. Actually, That's
I
on
think
my
I
list.
do too. Yeah, it's on my list.
I haven't played that one either. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go. We have our homework.
The no,
to
I'm
eventually do
probably,
sometime in the next year.
probably not going to get in. I mean, it's one of those things that like I don't know that I want to play it unless I know there's going to be more. Unless I know that they
Sure.
like wrapped it up, because like all of the other ones, even
You
the
don't want
Wolf
to get
Among
a series
Us.
that could be dead.
Well, yeah, like
I
I
guess
mean,
I
there's I understand like wanting to support stuff that's like we were talking about this with books of like you have to support series that aren't finished. That's how they get finished. It's different when you know something's dead, right? Like and it's also different when that's part of their like you can have a great time playing Titanfall 2, but Titanfall 2 doesn't end on a cliffhanger.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
At least as far as like the Game of Thrones Telltale game, which I liked, I keep bringing up that one. It didn't end closed. You know what I mean? Like still waiting for the
So
next one.
You don't. Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with the Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like,
you're still waiting.
They're still kind of waiting, but at the same time, it's just like I enjoyed it so much. I wouldn't have gone back.
You know what I keep on thinking about? I keep on thinking about how great a Westworld game would be. Because I know they had that one VR game. But like even a Telltale Westworld game would be really, really cool.
Well,
and especially if you had Nolan
Farm,
involved. Like
to go back Farm too, as far as like really enjoying it, and so you would do it again. Yeah, but I'll enjoy a lot of games, and I can enjoy games that have a future. You know what I mean? Like, would you go and recommend someone to play Anthem?
I mean,
yeah,
why not?
I would recommend, but
I would.
At least one time,
I would just be. I wouldn't. I would be like,
the campaign's fine. Like it's not bad. Like it's worth the experience. I think. Of like the 6 hours or whatever.
Evolve?
Evolve, obviously not. No.
Would you recommend people to go back and play Evolve? Like,
yeah, but there's a different problem with that, and that was based around the whole. Well, kind of some of the problems we still have is the whole ecosystem of having so much, like you were saying earlier, there's so much out there, but so much of it wants to be live service, so they want to grab you. They want you to play multiplayer games and stay in those games.
Well, and Farmer and I actually have the perfect example for this, where I don't think either one of us would recommend someone play Suicide Squad. When it comes down to it, even though we both really enjoyed it right up until the end, like the end kills it. It very much like Game of Thrones it,
we streamed through this, through the whole thing up until the end. And I remember every single time we streamed up until that last stream, we were like, man, this is great. I don't know what people are talking about. And I know I said that. I said that for a fact. And like, if they wrap up this story, this is going to be amazing. What are people talking about? I really enjoy it, especially how fluid the co-op was and the mechanics were good. It felt like a for the most part, a rock steady game. There were some things that felt a little repetitive, but for what it was, you just expect, oh, wow, this is not what people were saying. People were saying it's just a broken game. No, it was very, very nice and polished. But once you get to that last mission, you get it. The lights come on, and then all of a sudden you realize, okay,
And it
I
literally
made
makes the entire experience like not worth it. It
Yeah.
really
so
does
sad.
ruin the rest of the experience, which sucks because like I mean, like when it comes down to it, there was a lot of Rocksteady polish on that game that will never get recognized for it.
Yeah,
you know,
nobody's gonna.
I
Like
mean,
a lot of pretty funny humor actually. Like the scripting was
well
really good.
written. Like
Yeah.
the combat was fun. Like Farmer was saying, some of the activities were like kind of like repetitive, like your standard like, oh, do this like side activity over and over to like gain more experience or whatever. But I mean, like other than that, like it was like pretty darned good right up until the end, and then just ruins it. And it's like, well,
Well, and
that
it's
really
interesting
sucks.
because going back to like Anthem or something like that, I guess for me, I find it hard to recommend to someone to play a game that I know is not going to change at all when that was going to be a part of it, right? Like you
Oh,
can play
sure,
the
yeah.
Anthem campaign and
Like
that's
Anthem
it.
was
And
going to be
even
live service, yeah.
and even that, right? Like you're
And should have been.
probably not going to
That's the
play
thing
it
that bugs
with
me.
your friends.
Yep.
You
Right.
know, there are some missions that
Yeah.
are kind of meant for you to play with people. You're probably not going to get people that you're going to be able to play them with. But then also, to me, it's hard to recommend like people buy a full price game for something like that.
Well, yeah,
know?
but I mean, like Anthem, you can find in the garbage bin or for whatever for like $5. You know, I mean,
I mean, if you
Yeah.
find
There's
it, I
that.
paid
Well, I guess-
$60 for Evolve to play one time.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep bringing that. I paid
but
full price
that's
for that
back
game.
in the when it released, so now they don't have that problem. I will say though, there is a thing about recommending games on that level when people these days are very much expecting a game that they can sink their teeth into for a while, and I don't know how many people
True.
are actually out there who want to just play a single player experience and then leave the universe. Like if they want to play a game, they might as well stay there. I think that's a problem again with kind of where the gaming world is right now.
right?
Not bad, but it's like, how do we mitigate this? How do we
Yeah,
how do we go over these waters? Like, I don't know.
they're just well, part of it is there just needs to be less games too.
I thought someone was going to bring up Avengers, Marvel's Avengers. And it's funny because I've thought about that game more because I've been playing Marvel Rivals so much.
Sure, yeah.
Of
Shall we
like,
dust
oh
it?
man,
Dust it off and retry it.
Marvel's Avengers. Yeah, like I mean, David and I fighting that one Adaptoid, right? Over and
Yeah,
over again.
That was such a good joke. Like it really was.
Like, and the but that game, is it still going and they're just not repairing the servers? I don't remember even what
Correct,
happened to that
yeah.
game.
Like
Yeah, if the servers failed.
The last thing they said was like, we're just not touching it anymore. So like, if it still works, it still works, but we're not touching it anymore. So I don't even know if it's still live or not. I uninstalled, so I need to probably check on that at some point. But also, like, I don't know. It's one of those games that like the co-op kind of made it worth playing to an extent. Like, I mean, especially with like the way that their revive system worked, which was really obnoxious.
Yeah.
Because like if you're playing with AI, you only got like I think 2 revives.
Yeah.
But if you're playing with other players, you got like infinite revives. So your friend just had to get you or something.
If he was paying attention and close by.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, like, just it being a difficult game and being a grind to like level up your character and everything, like that just is not a fun game to like solo when it comes down to it at all. And the moments with playing co-op are really cool because like you'll be like there's moments of coolness, right? It's not cool all the time. I hate Destiny so much because Destiny's ruined me for like the rule of cool, because you always feel cool in Destiny. Always. Even when you're doing bad, you always feel cool. But like with like games like Avengers, there's moments of cool which kind of sort of make it worth it. But then there's a lot of not cool moments in between. Like it's really cool to be like Iron Man and see Hulk like slam into the enemy you were fighting or whatever, or like see like Black Widow like swing across like right in, like behind you or whatnot. You know, I mean that's cool. It's almost cinematic, you know. But I mean like, but then you're just fighting these generic enemies and stuff, and like spamming the same attack over and over.
It's
yeah.
I really liked playing Thor in that game. I liked they did this thing where like you could throw the hammer and pin people with it. I
Yes,
really
that
liked
was a
that.
really cool thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a cool mechanic, and you used it a lot. There were a lot of cool things, but yeah, you kind of came back to it. You know, it just felt the levels all felt the same, which is funny because Destiny they are all the same, or you're just playing the level backwards, like so clearly. Like,
yeah.
but I don't know. So much work went into those environments and stuff that
all the
it
levels
didn't
felt the
feel
same
generic.
unless you were low. Unless you were the low guy like me, every time I came in and would just get smeared across like a pancake, and that was rough. And also, I don't know what it is. I can never find the things you guys found. Like I don't know if it had to do with the whole level balancing thing. I don't know, but like when you guys are talking about like upgrading your materials and things like that, I would never find anything or barely anything, and it was really frustrating. That's one of the reasons why I stopped playing that game.
I mean, I stopped playing it
and you were
because
bad at
we've
it.
talked about it. We've talked about it. Are we talking about in Destiny? Farm? In Destiny or in Marvel Rivals?
We're not talking about
Marvel
Avengers.
Rivals. Avengers. Oh, I thought we were talking about
Avengers,
Destiny. And I was just going to talk about my wonderful helmet that they nerfed. You know that.
No,
No,
sure.
we weren't talking
Yeah.
about
That's
Destiny,
it.
but now-
That's
I
it.
guess we can.
I'm just I'm triggered again. Like I'm just mad.
They brought
like,
those
David,
Star
would
Wars
you-
skins, and those Star Wars skins are really cool. And then
Oh,
I
did
got
they
the season
really?
pass, and I regret it. Yeah.
They brought in
Uh,
so you know what? I'm so tired of skins, and I'm so tired of skins costing so much money.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm
I
tired
don't
of it.
disagree with that. Yeah.
but
Like each
it's
skin, I
again,
think, was like $20. I think literally.
Yeah.
Each skin was. Yeah.
and they're again trying to keep you in that same game.
Well,
'cause
and
they
the thing is
don't want you
too
to play a different
with
game.
with the Star Wars skins, the thing that sucks with this particular one is like that they're not inspired by Star Wars. They're like straight ripoffs, right? And
They're
it's
not
like
ripoffs.
okay,
I'm sure they're licensed.
I mean, well, yeah, but I mean, like they're like 1-to-1, you know?
It's
Right.
like a
literally
Fortnite skin.
like
It's
an
literally
Imperial Guard uniform, a Stormtrooper uniform, and a Dark Trooper uniform. And like
There's no
they're like
Mandalorians?
1-to-1. They aren't inspired by like they did like with previous like crossovers. And I thought the crossover stuff was actually really cool when it was inspired by, because it's like, oh hey, this is an artistic like kind of like take on what this would look like in this universe, you know?
But that's when Bungie actually, was Bungie.
Had
and-
people that they didn't
and-
fire, or
yeah, well, when they were in control more of it and able
Hey,
to
that's true
actually
too.
put
Yeah.
their stamp, their normal, Bungie is Bungie, but now you don't see it. Now you just see somebody filling in the gap with not the same passion or the vision, and that's why you probably get that.
Gaming is such an
Yeah.
interesting thing. I saw this thing of like for our generation, like 10 years of gaming, and it showed 10 years ago, and then it showed like, from a certain point of view, and like just the huge leaps forward and stuff. And then it showed like for my son's generation, 10 years of gaming, and it's just Fortnite. And it looks the same, Fortnite to Fortnite for 10 years versus like going from, Halo 1 and the look of like the original Halo 1 to, what's 10 years later? Halo 1 anniversary.
And then like another like a few years, and like the Halo 1 remake will come around, So
Yeah.
But D, nothing else from
almost
State of
what,
Play
10,
before
10,
we lose track
20?
of time here? There's nothing else
I
from
was
State
like
of Play
literally
that was
it.
worth
No,
talking about.
like I mean, like it's kind of crazy too, because like so Xbox had their like developer thing at the beginning of the month or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Or was it this month or last month? I don't know. Time is like a river, right? The door is ajar.
The
But
doors ajar.
yeah. But like Xbox showed 5 games, and all 5 of them had like really good showings. All of them looked really fun. I was down with all of them. PlayStation showed like something like 15, 16 games, I think. Maybe like 12. But like literally not like maybe 1, maybe 2 I would play. It's just like, and one of those is a remaster, and it's like, well, I mean, like
you've already
that's
experienced one of
wild,
them, right?
Like what the heck? Especially when you're doing like a third party thing, like where you have like all these titles to pull potentially. But my guess is that Sony is in save money mode, right? So
Right.
they probably don't want to like
Why are they in save money mode when they're making so much money? I guess is
well,
my
because
question.
they're restructuring a ton. right? Because they just canceled a ton of live service games that they sunk money into after the disastrous results of Concord and all that.
Yeah,
And so,
right.
like, my guess is that, like, they had a lot of investment because, like, that's what you do. You, like, the thing that people forget about, like, money is that it's not always fungible, you know? Like, I
Right.
mean, most money gets reinvested almost immediately. Like, the second you get it, you spend it, essentially. And, like, that's how businesses generally work.
and
So
it's
it's
not
not like they're
usually
holding,
instantaneous
like,
either, right?
right. And
Like all
it's not
these
like they're
things
holding like
were,
billions of dollars like in their bank account usually. They're usually like putting that straight back into their business to try to make even more. And like so if those things fail or if they have to cancel a bunch of them, that could potentially actually put them at risk even though they were extremely profitable, you know?
and that's
I
probably
think
like what I mean. They're investing 6 months to a year to even several years, even more than that. That's another thing
right.
you need to think about. It's not just like, oh, you know, that money came from last quarter, and all of a sudden, you know, they're investing it. Also, they're restructuring from things that they've been doing for years upon years. Maybe they canceled. Maybe who knows? We just don't know. And
Or
that's
I also
it's
saw
a
a
totally
graphic
different
too
thing.
of like they've had like 6 CEOs in the time that Phil Spencer's been in charge of Xbox.
Yeah,
Just a
can you
PlayStation.
imagine?
Like that's wild, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like that's a lot of directional changes. I mean, because I'm pretty sure that like they've had a directional shift every single time that they've switched leadership as
I mean,
well.
you'd have to
So I mean,
think
like,
that,
yeah,
you know, for sure.
yeah,
Each person's usually different. That's just usually how it goes.
right, yeah.
David,
So I mean, like,
you've experienced that one of the first party titles on Xbox, right?
oh yeah. I'm playing Avowed right now, which is actually really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm only like a normal person's like 2 hours in, so but for me that's like 8 or 9. But like,
Wait. Are you talking about the Avowed that's day one for only certain Game Pass people, not all Game Pass people? That Avowed?
yes, that would be the
And the one
Avowed
that's
that's day one for
probably
PC Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate.
the one that's
That
going to come to
Avowed, yes.
PlayStation pretty soon, you know, because, you know, we're not going
Uh,
to.
there has been no announcement of that yet, but
Sure,
probably
sure.
yes,
Yeah,
almost
sure,
certainly
sure.
yes.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, like honestly, I want more people to play this game because it's actually really good so far.
Is it single
So
player?
it's single player, yes. Uh, it so like it's by Obsidian, who did Outer Worlds and
Another
Fallout
game I
New
don't
Oh,
play.
Vegas
good. Yeah, good stuff.
and
Good
Pillars
stuff.
of Eternity. And this is actually
Mm.
set in their Pillars of Eternity universe,
Oh,
which
that's
Pillars
right.
of
Yeah.
Eternity is kind of
Mhm.
like Divinity Original Sin. It's like usually mentioned in the same breath by those players who like play those games a lot.
Which is
Which
interesting. I like how what they're doing is like they're taking a different spin of the same universe. That's really
right,
cool,
Wait,
yes,
honestly.
I'm really
yeah.
confused. Wait, what? Why is it mentioned like Divinity Original Sin? So I actually really liked Divinity Original Sin. I have no idea what you're talking about for this next one.
Oh,
I didn't play Outer Wilds because at the time it just felt like not Fallout, you know? And I
right.
don't
Well,
particularly like Fallout either, so I just didn't get into it.
so essentially, this is kind of like not Skyrim when it comes down to it. In the same way that Outer Worlds was kind of like not Fallout, but Outer Worlds has a very distinctive flair to it that like kind of like separates it from Fallout, and this has a pretty distinctive flair too. I mean, especially like visually, like
Mhm.
because as much as I love some Bethesda games, like their aesthetic style for certain things, like character models, like really not a fan. Like I mean, like it's rough sometimes. Everything in this looks very pretty so far, except for like the water has some trouble sometimes.
All
And
right,
like,
you need to clarify something for me right
yeah,
now. Avowed is not a Bethesda game, right?
no, it's an Obsidian game.
Okay, I know,
Yeah.
but you
Obsidian
just
game,
said
yep.
Bethesda games, and I just immediately just like I'm nope. I just noped out immediately because
No,
I agree.
well,
No,
like, and that's yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, like, I've not seen a ton of like jank that I'm like accustomed to in Bethesda games with this, but also it's a different experience too. Like, it's not like the way I described it to somebody else was like so. But Bethesda games tend to be games where you can kind of do whatever, right? This is more like a game where here's this world, you can explore it. So like, I mean, like you can't like just shoot everybody in town. You can't like steal from everybody. You know, you can't like do whatever you want.
Maybe a little bit more narrative
But you
driven.
can like it's definitely more narrative driven, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also like because this is kind of based on their Pillars of Eternity like games, which are kind of like Divinity. Like there's certain carryovers that come from that, like when you want to make your camp, for instance, for crafting or whatever. It's very much like in Baldur's Gate, where it's like almost like a separate thing, you know. And then you exit camp and you continue on your journey. Which is almost immersion breaking, but not really, because like it's like a place in the world that's like dedicated for that. And then when you step out of the circle, it becomes daytime, and it's like, okay, well, like it's not, it works somehow. But so far, having a blast with it. The combat's really fun. The story seems really interesting. Already, there's been some twists and turns that I was not expecting at all. And like, there's some pretty interesting companions that I've met along the way so far. So I'm looking forward to continuing that. And so far,
really
it's like
cool.
got like 8 out of 10, give or take.
Yeah,
like pretty much. Some people have given it as much as like 9.5. So I mean, like, you know,
Wow.
like
I
apparently
really
people are
like
enjoying it.
what they're doing, you know, as far as, you know, just giving little nods, you know, with Avowed. Like they're still in that same universe. So you get to see, like, again, like you get to see that crossover. Games that do that are going to the extra level to me. And I really like that. You know, again, I know I was kind of saying the opposite in a way, like, of course, you're going to have some games that you get burnt out, but like staying in the same universe. I mean, I guess you guys know, huge Halo fan. If everything could be Halo themed, you know, Halo part of the Halo lore, you know, I'd just stay in Halo all the time. And maybe I will in the future, who knows? But like just having these little nods and little cameos of things that you might have experienced in a different game, in a different style of a game in that universe is really cool. Especially them shifting it from, you know, more of a strategy game style RPG to more of action single player game, you know. Still probably like immersive role playing game, but different, you know, not the same where you're controlling all the people. Yeah, I just think that's really cool that they can do that.
Right. Yeah. I love when franchises do that. Yeah.
I think it's funny that you
Like-
brought up Halo because that's actually one of the topics I wanted to talk about today, Farm. Are you aware?
Yeah,
Let's-
I heard.
Hang on real quick, because I just want to say Helldivers does a good job of that too. But
True.
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
They did-
Helldivers
it
does
was
a good
pretty
job
cool.
of what?
of doing like a different like take on the same franchise,
Mhm.
like doing a different kind of game in that same universe.
Well, even comparatively to Helldivers 1 versus 2, like they totally
Right,
shift
yeah.
completely.
Exactly.
Like,
Which honestly I thought was going to be a failure. Like the trailer did not grab me at all. But like, oh gosh, they did such a good job. But yeah. No, like I mean, I definitely want to see Halo do more of that too.
It's a big bummer though with Helldivers because I reinstalled it on my Steam Deck and I've tried to play it multiple times and I can't. It either crashes or it's unplayable. I've been reading online and it just seems that it's just gotten worse and worse and more intensive on PC since it came out. And like they've said they're going to try and fix it, but like they just don't, or like they haven't been able to. So it's a bummer. It's one of those games. I'd like to
Interesting.
play it. And I can't.
I should reach out to Hayden because he's been playing a bunch with him and Dustin
On his Steam Deck?
Not a Steam Deck. mind
No,
you.
I've been playing on Steam.
So if
Yeah,
it's
on
just-
Steam Deck specifically, but
only-
it's just
Well, I wondered if it translated over because it's PC. You know, PC might. Still
they're
have a
playing
patch
on
or something like that.
PC, and
They are
I've
playing
seen
on
stuff
PC.
on PC too. It still runs, but I think it's just too much on the Steam Deck.
Mostly exclusive to the Steam Deck. Gotcha.
Yeah, most of the stuff there. Honestly, during launch, it ran so well. I was
I know we
surprised
played
coming
so many
back to it.
times. That's crazy.
Yeah, coming back to it. So far, I've had lots of crashes, or I've just had like, I'm watching a slideshow, kind of a deal.
My hope would be
Instead of
that like an
playing the game.
update would just fix that. But like, I mean, like, who knows when that update's gonna come? Like, yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll come the same time, Anthem gets an update.
oh
Maybe.
gosh. Somebody was
Next
just
Avengers
saying.
update.
Somebody
Positive
at
thinking there.
EA was just saying, you know what? If there's one game I could bring back, it would be Anthem. It's like, don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah, it's
don't
dead.
don't
It's
even
gone.
tempt me.
Well, those
Mm.
kinds of things, though, too, it's hard for me now. I kind of feel like, hoping for updates to fix stuff. Like, I just would rather just not.
Yeah, no, that's
You know.
stupid. That is dumb. Yeah, especially when you
And-
don't know when that update might come or whatever. And like, yeah,
I mean, I've heard that Cyberpunk's a great game now.
It's a fantastic. Well, yeah.
That's what
I
I've
mean,
heard.
that's the whole thing. Yeah.
I've heard that I could go back to it and it's like a totally different game and like way better. Like, but that kind of stuff really is weird to me and bothers me.
Sure.
So I don't know.
So
It makes me wish it's one of those things that I wish I
launching.
didn't early support it, right? Like if I didn't buy it when it came out and put like 30 hours into it and then have like a game breaking issue, maybe I could have bought it now and really enjoyed it the same way that I bought and really enjoyed Ghosts of Tsushima years later, right?
Although, to
understand
be
that
fair,
on a
with
different
Ghost,
level.
I think Ghost came out like pretty solidly. Maybe
Right,
not on
no, but-
PC though. But yeah,
But in not to say that Ghost didn't come out solidly, but like my experience of it is really different. Like
Sure.
having not got it at launch and such, right? As like
Right.
if I would have bought Cyberpunk the same way that I never played it, I heard there were issues, I never played it, I got it, it would have just worked and it would have been interesting,
Well,
it would have been
and
good.
you would have had lower expectations too, because like the hype was insane for that game when it first came out. Like, yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
anytime you
Uh,
sink like 30 plus hours and you have to start over, there's already, a deterrent. I honestly, for me, I'm right there with you, Johnny. I'm not going to go back most likely unless
Yeah.
it's just I'm really invested in that universe. But again,
which we're not,
yeah,
right?
I'm not.
And so
Right.
it's
And I didn't have that problem. I was able to go through it, but man, I feel you. I totally get it. I probably would have been the same. I've been like, you know what? I got other things to do. I'm not going to waste another 30 hours.
30 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. But as we teased a little bit earlier, Netflix has picked up Halo.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard this week.
It has picked up distribution for Halo in some markets, it says.
yes, yeah,
And
seasons 1 and 2, I think. Yeah,
Which have they announced which markets it's coming to?
I'm pretty sure US, but other than that, like no. But like, I mean,
Well, so they picked up that. Did they say anything? I didn't read anything more, like as far as them actually going forward with it.
So they picked
I guess
it up
maybe
for
they'll just
distribution.
wait and see.
there's been nothing greenlit in terms of like a season 3 or anything.
No,
Right.
Like,
but
Probably
yeah.
just one of those things where, okay, let's see who is interested in it. If we have enough people interested in it, then maybe.
exactly.
But my thing, if Netflix gets has it, can you reset? Can you please just reset?
Yes, like
No.
literally just so many and there's so many people in agreement with this. This might be the great unifier of like the Halo fan base. Like the sprinting tore us apart, but a reset of Halo might bring us back together because like literally everyone is just like, you know what? Like let's just use the same assets, but just start the story from scratch.
Yep.
Because like all those assets were pretty good. Like I mean,
Yeah, the base that
just-
they had was fairly good, but
yeah.
how they chose
Like
to
all the visual
go,
stuff and
you know,
everything, all the names of things. Like I mean, like that was all good. Like just recast.
Usually, it's just
rewrite.
Yeah, it's mostly just how they use the
Redo.
characters. It's just like,
Are you saying that you want to get rid of Master Cheeks? Is that what you're saying? D?
oh yeah,
Yes.
in a big way, in a big way.
Well, that actor just wasn't like necessarily right either. I mean, from
I had nothing
attitude
wrong
to
with the
everything
actor.
else.
The problem is again they portrayed him like a John instead of a Master Chief, and not a great John. Like arc breaking in my opinion. Again, Silver Timeline. I get it, but at the same time, it's like he's not even the same guy. Not even the same.
But
John.
yeah, like literally. Well, and my other thing too, like just like the Solo movie, just call him anything else.
yeah.
Like
he was
anything else.
literally
Spartan
something
118.
else.
Boom.
Yeah.
There you go. You know?
Spartan
119, 120,
Spartan 118, Jonathan.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
Johnny.
ABC. I don't know.
Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny.
I haven't seen it, right? I wonder if it's going to come to Netflix Japan. I don't think I'm going to watch it, but I will say this. So the hope here in this article is they're like, oh, if there is interest and it does well, Netflix could maybe like do a season 3 and carry it forward. But I don't know that that's what people want.
No, I don't. I mean, a lot of people I've talked to that don't know anything about Halo says, "Hey, it's really good," but any of the fans I've talked to, they're just they're either trying to just let it lay or trying to like just push it off as the silver timeline. But what they're really feeling inside, I know. They don't like it. They don't love it. They can't love it. How could you?
It's crazy too, like to see Paramount like going downhill this fast. I mean, it was bound to happen with all these different streaming services, but like Paramount like shedding weight like crazy is kind of insane. Because this was one of their this was going to be their flagship, right? Like one of their
between
flagships.
that and Star Trek and maybe like a few westerns.
And I think they'll hold on to Star Trek as long as they can, but like everything else, I think is kind of like open season, like kind of like.
Right.
Yeah, we're willing to sell this for like a few dollars. Like,
the fans really came after us on this one. I don't know why. We really delivered really well on this, and they still hated it.
Well, and I've not seen it, but nothing I've seen from it makes me want to see it too. As a Halo fan, I've been a Halo fan the whole time, right? There's nothing about it that I'm like, oh man, I don't feel like I'm missing out having not seen it.
Right, it really doesn't add to the overall universe. I mean, again, the story is very much silver timeline, and you can imagine how they take the liberty.
Keep saying that, man. What were we talking about, D, that we were like, this is perfect that they did this? Oh, it's out of the 14 million possibilities, this is the only one that worked. Silver timeline,
sure.
That's another one.
Yeah,
that's another one that like you could be like, but he's not actually like this, and they're like, hey, it's the silver timeline. He's not the same guy.
That's the only reason it works. It's like, okay. But I guess that's bringing us back to the whole remake of Halo. That's one of my concerns. Is that that's not going to be silver timeline anymore. That's going to be origin story, and I hope they don't mess with it.
And they make John annoying.
I had a good idea for that. What if they leaned more into the horror part of the Flood,
or even go back a little bit further? Like,
I think you need to have the Flood in a Halo remake. I think you do.
Of course.
Obviously, you can't
like, I don't know how much further back you can go without losing that. Because that does take place like a good halfway through the game, give or take.
Right, but if they could like tie in, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different pieces that you could pull in from the books.
Sure. Or that's games, true.
So
yeah. But I mean, like they've Bungie, I guess 343 not necessarily, but Bungie has said they don't really necessarily care about the books that much.
Yeah, but that was
Bungie, I don't know. So the whole thing that's Halo been interesting to me totally about different. Halo is that they, the Covenant is this group. So if you read Contact Harvest, right, the Covenant is this group of aliens working together that are being basically run by the prophets or what, or like the Sanshum or whatever they're called. And the whole war against the humans is because it undermines their religion and their control. Right? That's it.
Right. They realize that humans are actually the ones that are supposed to take over the mantle and all that.
Exactly, because of the stuff left by the Forerunners and how they detect the objects and what they and it's even just what they've built around the objects, right? What they've built around all the stuff. What they say it is now, it reads humans a certain way and recognizes them, not them. And so they basically destroy all of that evidence and declare war on the humans. That's why the humans aren't allowed to join the Covenant. Otherwise, they would just be allowed to join, right? Like everyone else has been allowed to join.
Yeah, you would think so. But again,
I find that super interesting.
Would they want to, though? I mean,
well, would they want to? I think
how many races can they control at that point?
At the beginning,
trouble.
Yeah, if there wasn't a war at the beginning, I could have seen something of that, of we can get this technology and get the support from these, you know what I mean? But right from the beginning, it was really frosty because of how it affected who was controlling the Covenant already. That is super interesting. That kind of intrigue, that would be really cool for them to kind of visit. Because really,
a little harvest.
Halo starts toward the end of the Covenant War. Right, we're losing. That's the whole thing, and then it's actually the discovery of the Flood, and the refocus of the Covenant and all of that stuff that lead to the humans having victory eventually, and the use of Halo rings and such. It's just it's super cool. There's a lot there. There's a lot there for a good show somewhere. Jonathan Nolan, if he took it, I'd be happy.
Oh yeah. I think it's a little too busy though.
Oh man, Fallout Season 2, let's go!
Yep.
I haven't watched
just-
it yet, but there was a trailer for Wheel of Time Season 3 as
I was
well.
just gonna bring that up. Yeah, like I did see the trailer and it looked pretty good. It looked pretty good.
I didn't see it. I still haven't watched Rings of Power Season 2. You know, still haven't gotten around to it.
Still
I haven't
haven't
found the
watched
time.
Elaine was in it, and that had me very happy because like
Oh,
I kind of have a crush on Elaine a little bit.
I'll
the
get back
character or
with
the
you when I
actress?
watch
I'm
season 1.
confused.
The character.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was in Season 2 a little bit.
Was she? Well, yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited. But yeah, you guys got any closing comments before we wrap up? The future of gaming, not super excited for the stuff that's been announced, at least at the, what is it? Not the Nintendo Direct. What do
know.
they call
Like,
it? State of Play.
PlayStation State of Play. Yeah, I mean,
But,
like hopefully
I'm
they
excited
have
for a bunch of
another
these trailers.
showcase because like they have all these properties they claim to have been working on, and they couldn't have all been live service. So hopefully they have something to announce later this year.
Well,
Xbox looks to be having a really strong year, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna find time to play it all.
That's
Right.
that's the kicker. Well, Daniel was
Yeah.
talking about a game we haven't mentioned tonight, Monster Hunter Wilds.
That
Oh,
was
man,
shown
I'm
at the State
excited
of
for
Play
that one.
actually, but like it was, I don't know. Like Monster Hunter trailers are weird sometimes because they aren't necessarily great trailers, but the game is fantastic.
They do
You know,
that.
Like
They do
some of the
something that's-
trailers are just
I don't
like a bunch of like quick cuts of like different like combat and everything, and it's like okay,
or
like
go right into
I
the
get that there's a
group
new
emote
monster
thing.
there, but like yeah, like I mean,
Let's- at the end where
beyond
they're
there
all
being a-
eating and like they've always had that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, maybe people really like it who play the game, but like on me on the other hand, it's like I don't understand. And that's kind of where I stand. I'm like, what's going on? What's with all the cooking? I mean, I don't know. I guess you just have to know it. I guess that's what they're trying to hope for when they're doing, you know, their ad. They're like, okay, we're bringing in all the players that played this before.
Yeah.
I don't know. But once you play it, it's really good.
but that does come out like really really soon though too, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited.
yeah.
All right. Well, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give us a thumbs up or, you know, rate us and do all those things. And we'll see you next week. Bye. Get out of here, Craig.